during which she mentioned that she doesn't like cats. That was a lie. For what may become the first in a series, please welcome Toastmaster Analia Perez as she gives her icebreaker entitled, I Don't Like People. Please welcome Toastmaster Analia Perez.
I haven't always disliked people. Growing up, I was terribly shy, and I still am. However, even more so when I was younger, the consequence, I think, of growing up with an exceptionally protective mother. My mother immigrated to the United States in the early 90s from a small village in the southwestern region of Guatemala. Crime, especially towards women, is common in that area of the country, and so to remain safe, my mother generally avoided going out, preferring instead to remain indoors and close to home. Eventually, she passed these lessons on to me and my siblings, and while we enjoyed many a summer playing Jumanji and watching SpongeBob, we subsequently found ourselves deficient in both vitamin D and social skills. For my cohorts, their plight was further exacerbated by their placement in the ESOL program, a situation that made them feel special in all the wrong ways. Suffice it to say that while we were wildly popular with adults, the result of being quiet, cute, mild-tempered, and a little chubby, we had no such success with children our age. And for a while, this devastated me. Besides my siblings and my mother, I didn't have any family in the area. And though my siblings were more than enough, I still longed for other people to talk to and for other children to play with. Unfortunately for me, that dream never materialized. That's not to say that I didn't have any friends. I managed at least one acquaintance a year, two if my sister nabbed one as well. But yet, despite my kindergarten teacher's assertion that my dimples would get me anything I wanted in life, I was largely ignored and easily forgotten. But that's all right, because I found my own way to cope. As school trudged on, my desire to be surrounded by people slowly grew into apathy, eventually ending in contempt. I became indifferent to the idea of making friends. In fact, I prefer not to have them. I found, and still do, find other people generally bothersome and have neither the desire nor the patience to form attachments with anyone outside of my immediate family. If someone didn't disappoint me initially, I was sure they would eventually, a feeling cemented by a betrayal in the 7th grade, an event that would later repeat itself in the 9th grade. This loyalty arguably only rivaled by that experienced by Julius Caesar. Upon entering college, my dislike of people was so complete that after a summer of watching Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American version, I decided to major in computer science, which I believed and hoped would lead to the career with the least human interaction. While I found making friends a necessary evil, I was devastated when I not only managed to make friends, but friends with folks that were rather persistent in their desire to remain as such. Fortunately for me, however, my years as a mildly moody teenager had prepared me for such crises, and by this point, I had thoroughly devised strategies to rid myself of these annoyances. Was it kind? Probably not. Did it work? Remarkably well, yes. This pattern continued smoothly until the beginning of my senior year, when life took a small but rather significant detour. I found myself, by complete accident, in a ready-made group of friends, and much to my chagrin over the next 3 years, I found myself counting these individuals amongst some of the most important in my life. They enjoyed cooking and baking, the results of which I enjoyed eating. They liked hiking and attending concerts, activities I too enjoyed. They taught me to appreciate bluegrass, country, and Taylor Swift. They were okay with how much I watched Shrek, 1, 2, and 3, not the 4th version. And I introduced them to the movie White Chicks, a pillar, I dare say, of American cinema. They understood that I practiced napping with the same reverence that some people practice religion, and I forgave them for how extroverted they were. In summary, they understood me and cared about me in a way I didn't ask for and for a long time hadn't wanted. Though I still carried a deep-seated aversion to making long-term connections, I found myself slowly becoming accustomed to the idea of keeping them around. That lasted until November of 2016. Bless you. When during one of my morning runs, I suffered from what I would later find out was a stroke. Fortunately, I suffered no visible effects from the stroke. But unfortunately, I lost my right peripheral vision, an effect which the doctors concluded would become permanent. After I was discharged, I found myself becoming increasingly short-tempered and moody, and suffering from constant headaches and fatigue. I bumped into objects and found it difficult and disorienting to make eye contact with other people. After I caused a couple of minor traffic accidents, I started avoiding highways and memorizing my routes, limiting the number of places I visited. I couldn't stand crowds, and as a result, I stopped attending concerts and started grocery shopping exclusively in the early morning or late evenings. As regards my friendships, I found myself reverting to old habits. I was irritated when they asked me how I felt, and irritated when they didn't. I was annoyed when they felt bad for wanting to go out, when I never asked for their pity. Because of these, as well as other emotions and some misplaced animosity I'd prefer not to discuss, it came as no surprise to me then when, after my mother asked me to move back to Florida, I took the opportunity to sever all contact with them. I would like to say there was a come to Jesus moment somewhere over these last few years, that I've changed in some fundamental way. But the fact is I haven't. I loathe crowds, I avoid making friends, and I just don't like people. And what's worse, I rather enjoy being this way. But if there is a silver lining, it's that humans are persistent. And over the last few years, I've met and built relationships with individuals unwavering in their determination to remain in my life, despite my best efforts to get rid of them. And so for these individuals, I'll give people another shot. In fact, while my primary goal in joining Toastmasters was to improve my public speaking skills, I had secretly hoped that in doing so I would be forced into situations I normally take every precaution to avoid. Meeting new people, engaging in small talk, and building relationships. As of this moment, I can't say I've improved on any of these skills, but I'm making an effort. And as FDR once said, the credit goes to the man that dares to enter the arena, and if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. So at least for now, that's enough. Thank you.